first jar was found half buried behind a farmhouse, cracked, sealed with wax. And when they opened it, the smell made a grown man fall to his knees. No one in that small Tennessee town could explain it. But that was only the beginning, because by the end of that week, they would uncover 31 clay jars, each one hiding something darker than the last. And every single one led back to her. Before we go deeper into this story, take a second to like the video and subscribe to Night Archive, because the stories we uncover here don't just stay in the past. It was the summer of 1849. The town was quiet, the kind of place where everyone knew each other's names, and secrets didn't stay buried for long. Or at least, that's what they believed. Until strange things started happening. Livestock began dying without wounds. Wells turned cloudy overnight. And people started whispering about shadows moving between the trees after sunset. At first, it was dismissed as fear, the kind that spreads when something feels off, but no one can explain why. But then came the first jar. A young farmhand named Caleb was digging a new fence post when his shovel struck something hard. He thought it was just a rock until he pulled it out. A clay jar, roughly shaped, sealed tight. He brought it back to the farmhouse, laughing it off. But when they cracked it open, whatever was inside had long since decayed into something unrecognizable. Thick, black, and foul. That night, Caleb couldn't sleep. By morning, he was gone. No footprints, no struggle, just an empty bed and the jar sitting by the door. That's when the town started to change. Search parties were formed. Men with rifles combed the woods. But instead of finding Caleb, they found another jar. Then another. Each one buried just deep enough to stay hidden, but not forgotten. Some were empty. Others weren't. Inside a few, they found bones. Small ones. Animal, maybe, but no one could say for sure. In others, strange objects, locks of hair, rusted nails, scraps of cloth tied into knots so tight they had to be cut apart. It didn't make sense. Why bury them? Why so many? And why all across the same stretch of land? That land belonged to a woman most people barely noticed. Her name was Eliza Ward. She lived alone at the edge of town, in a house that looked like it had been forgotten by time. Some said she had been there for years. Others claimed she arrived one winter and simply never left. No family, no visitors, just her and the silence around her home. People described her in different ways. Some said she was quiet, polite even. Others said she never made eye contact, that her voice sounded like she was speaking from somewhere far away. But no one ever said she was dangerous. Until now. As more jars were found, patterns began to emerge. They weren't placed randomly. They formed a kind of boundary, a loose circle stretching around her property, like something was being contained or kept out. The sheriff decided it was time to speak with her. When they arrived at her house, the door was already open. Inside, everything looked normal. Too normal. The table was set. A kettle rested cold on the stove. A chair pulled back like someone had just stood up. But there was no sign of Eliza. What they did find was a journal. Its pages were filled with careful handwriting, dates stretching back months, maybe years. At first, the entries seemed ordinary. Weather notes, small observations. But then the tone shifted. She wrote about dreams, not the kind that fade when you wake up, but the kind that stay with you, the kind that feel like warnings. She described a presence, something that moved through the woods at night, something that didn't belong. At first, she thought it was her imagination. Then she started hearing it. Footsteps outside her home, scratching at the walls, whispers just beyond the edge of hearing. That's when she made the first jar. She didn't explain how she knew what to do, only that she had to, that the jars would hold it, keep it from getting closer. With each entry, her writing grew more frantic. She believed the thing was spreading, that it could slip into animals, into water, maybe even into people. The jars weren't random. They were traps or barriers, and there were never supposed to be this many. Back in town, fear turned into panic. People stopped going out after dark. Doors were locked before sunset. Even the church stood empty on Sundays. Because if Eliza was telling the truth, then whatever she was trying to contain was now loose. And then Caleb came back. He was found near the tree line just before dawn, barefoot, covered in dirt, eyes wide open but unseeing. They brought him inside, tried to get him to speak. At first, he said nothing. Then, slowly, he began to whisper. Not words anyone could understand, just sounds, repeating over and over, like something was trying to speak through him. And then he said one thing, clear enough that everyone in the room heard it. She opened them. That same day, 3 more jars were discovered, all of them broken. Whatever had been inside was gone. The sheriff ordered the remaining jars to be destroyed, smashed, burned, buried again. He thought ending it would stop whatever fear had taken hold of the town. But that night, the noises began. Not just at the edge of the woods, but inside the town itself. Doors creaked open on their own. Windows rattled though there was no wind, and people swore they saw figures standing just outside their homes, watching. By morning, 2 more people were missing, and this time there were no jars nearby. It felt like something had changed, like the boundary Eliza had created had been broken. Days passed, and the town slowly emptied. Families packed what they could carry and left. Those who stayed did so in silence, avoiding eye contact, pretending nothing was wrong. But something was very wrong. The last entry in Eliza's journal was found days later, hidden beneath a loose floorboard. The handwriting was barely legible. It read, "There were never enough jars. No one knows exactly what happened after that. Records show the town declined rapidly. Within a few years, it was nearly abandoned. Some say disease, others say economic hardship. But locals told a different story. They said that even years later, people passing through the area would sometimes see clay fragments scattered in the dirt and hear something moving in the trees. As for Eliza Ward, she was never found. Not a trace. Just her house, slowly collapsing into the earth, as if the land itself was trying to bury the memory of what happened there. And those 31 jars, no one knows how many of them were ever truly accounted for, or how many might still be out there, waiting. If this story gave you chills, let me know in the comments. What do you think was really inside those jars? And don't forget to share this video with someone who loves dark, unexplained stories. Because here at Night Archive, some stories aren't meant to be forgotten.